Next bill is House Bill 596 by Representative Fontenot, Title 40, Illegal Carrying of Weapons, to exempt certain persons from the crime of illegal carrying of weapons, provide relative to handgun permits, completion of education. And on behalf of the Bureau, Representative Horton sends up technical amendments.
Without objection. Representative Fontenot on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I bring today House Bill 596 is a constitutional carry of concealed firearms for the state of Louisiana. It brings in line the state of Louisiana with 20 other states across the country that have enacted these laws that give honest citizens the right to keep and possess firearms concealed. It is our God-given right, but our constitutional protected freedom to carry firearms and carry them concealed to protect our families. My bill removes the prohibitions for fees, removes the prohibition for background checks, and removes the prohibition for mandatory training to be able to keep and possess a concealed firearm in the state. Studies and statistics show that crime will neither rise nor decrease with more weapons or people carrying more weapons. Particularly, studies show that individuals after constitutional carry is passed inside their state, that training requirements go up and more people seek those training. Representative, you got an amendment?
1 second, we have several.
All right, Mr. Speaker, I'd offer up.
We're going to offer up amendment.
Yeah, I have one technical amendment that just brings the posture in line.
Let her read it in first.
Mr. Speaker and members, Representative Fontenot offers up one-page set of amendments, number 1933, on your computers.
All right, on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill just brings in line the posture that state police recommended in reference to the training section.
All right, any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Question? Nope, no question. Ms. Carpenter. Ms. Carpenter. Representative Carpenter. You have a question on it? All righty, she waives. All right, any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Next amendment.
Next amendment is offered by Representative McCormick, number 2080.
Representative McCormick on your amendment.
Body, I'm coming up here today to offer an amendment for you to think about. I support Representative Fontenot's bill, but I think this is amendment's worth consideration. It changes the age from 21 to 18.
All right, is there any objection to the adoption of the amendment? All right, Representative Fontenot.
I'm sorry. Yes, they got it. They got it.
Yeah, members, I respectively object to the amendment. What Representative McCormick's amendment does is allow 18, 19, 20-year-olds to carry concealed. I object on the notion that the federal law says that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds cannot legally buy a rifle or a handgun from a federal firearms dealer. I'm not quite sure why we would allow them to carry a firearm. We're forcing them to buy a firearm from someone individually or off the black market versus buying it from a federal firearms dealer where a background would have to take place. So for that reason, I would object.
All right, Representative Amy Freeman, you have a question on the amendment? All right, Representative.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative McCormick, why would you want an 18-year-old to be able to be in this bill, especially after what I just learned from Representative Fontenot?
For self-defense.
But wouldn't we be breaking federal law, what I just heard?
No, ma'am. It's not against federal law for them to carry they can, right now in the state of Louisiana, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds can open carry. That's not against federal law. Only purchasing the handgun from a dealer.
So they can carry it, but they can't purchase it? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All right, Representative Miguez for a question on the amendment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I was distracted by another legislator when Representative Fontenot was giving his reason for the objection. Could you state what his reason is, Representative McCormick?
I'm sorry, do you want to start?
If you can, what was his reason that to your
I'm
recollection?
going to let him give that reason.
Yeah.
Representative Fontenot.
Thank you, Representative. My objection was based on the notion that 18, 19, or 20-year-olds can't legally buy a pistol or a rifle from a licensed federal firearms dealer. They can legally buy a firearm from an individual. So if we went to a gun show, an 18 or 19, 20-year-old could legally purchase, and they can legally purchase a shotgun, but under federal law, they cannot purchase a pistol or rifle from a federal licensed dealer.
But they could legally possess one, correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have some questions for Representative McCormick. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Recognized.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, so I understand where you're coming from with the 18. Is it your belief that everyone 18 years old, if you can serve in the military, go to war, that you should be able to use the same rights to be able to carry a firearm and have these same rights? Is that your train of thought by bringing this amendment?
Yes, any law-abiding citizen. You know, we can, not only that, we can actually try 18-year-olds in court as adults. So
I tend to agree with you on the concept, but I wonder from the author's standpoint, my understanding is you brought a similar bill at 18. He brought one at 21. His bill made it to the floor. Did you ever consider the fact that he may agree with you on it, but the reason he's bringing it, he's objecting to your amendment, is because he may want to leave that debate for another day?
And he may want to. I feel like my bill got killed for other reasons besides the 20-year-old.
And the reason I bring this up, did you know, is that I fear that if we have too many debates on this topic, that it could potentially hurt his bill moving forward, although I have understanding of where you are with that issue, and I probably normally would support that, did you know?
Right. Well, this is just a place to debate it. I think it's a good subject. I think it's a good debate. I'm just looking to have the debate, and you're free to vote however you feel.
What I'm wondering, if you would consider, because of light of the circumstances and the work that he's put in his bill, if you consider maybe a compromise to that, where maybe we provide that exception to start out with, just to see how those things go, from maybe train the military or those individuals, take that first step, get some data back, and then have this debate at a later date. Would you entertain something to that effect?
You know, I researched that, Representative Bigaz, and I've never seen anybody yet out of the states that started out that went back and changed the age. So I think the debate is to be held now.
And just from my knowledge, you probably have this data right off. How many states have it at 18 versus 21 now for constitutional carry?
I don't know about the last two that approved constitutional carry, but out of the 18, nine allowed 18-year-olds to carry.
How many of that?
9 out of 18.
9. So I guess you understand my point, is that I buy into what you're saying. I can support that idea, but I think the author, did you know, probably has an understanding of how he wants to debate this bill this year, and this may be adding a little bit too much weight for the ship moving forward, did you know? And that could be the reason why I don't support it. I just want you to know that.
That's right.
And actually, I would ask you to remove your amendment, and I would be willing to work with you in the future, did you know, to try to get that passed at 18, because I think you have a great idea. I just think today's not the correct day to bring it, did you know?
I think 18, 19, 20-year-old girls should have the right to carry concealed to protect themselves. I do that. I do.
And I agree with you. I just don't know if the time is correct right now where this bill is in the process.
I would think the time is correct for them to be able to protect themselves.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, members, we're debating the bill. If we would, let's try to keep the noise down. We're having members that are having a hard time hearing the debate. So, all right, Representative Amy Freeman for a question on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative McCormick, I'd just like to ask, when someone joins the military at 18, are they trained to use firearms?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
I just want to clarify that they are trained when they're in the
Right.
military. So, thank you.
All right,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
to the floor on the amendment, Chairman James.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I don't know if you've been following the Criminal Justice Committee this session, but we had a very lengthy debate on this bill, and Representative McCormick's bill had the time to debate the bill was in committee, where we had hundreds of people that submitted testimony. His bill did not pass at 18, right? I'm not saying that I support Representative Fontenot's bill either, but this bill, for 18 years of age, we had a full-fledged debate in Criminal Justice Committee. His bill did not pass in that committee. There are multiple Second Amendment bills that passed. This one didn't. We had a full debate, and I think it's respect to my committee and the people that testified to honor the fact that the committee had a full-blown hearing and the age of 18 was something that we did not support. So I ask that you not support this amendment, and then I'll be back to talk about the bill. Thank you.
All right. There is an objection on the amendment. Representative McCormick, you have a right to close on your amendment.
Members, I appreciate it. I do want to bring to your attention again that in Louisiana, 18-year-olds can open carry without a permit. This body's already decided that 18-year-olds can legally open carry without a permit. So when a girl turns 18, she can strap on a pistol and walk around town. But she's not allowed to take that same pistol and put it in her purse. I have 4 granddaughters. The oldest one killed her first deer when she was 7. She's going to be quite efficient with a weapon when she gets to be 18. But the state of Louisiana will not allow her to put a pistol in her purse for self-protection. So I'm passionate about this bill. I'm passionate about this age, and I will respect your opinion, and that's my close. Thank you.
All right. Representative McCormick has offered up an amendment which Representative Fontenot has objected to. All those in favor for the amendment vote yea. All those opposed vote nay. The clerk will open the machines. Members, vote your machines. Vote your machines, members. Vote your machines. Representative White, no. You through voting, members? Ivy, maybe. Hughes, no. Ivy, yes. Davis, no. All right. Cox, no. All right. Close them up. 29 yeas, 69 yeas, and the amendment fails to pass. All right. Representative Emerson has an amendment. Next amendment, clerk.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. Representative Emerson offers up one-page set of amendments number 2369 on your computers.
All right, Representative Emerson on your amendment.
Members, all I'm trying to do here, currently right now you can drive at a blood alcohol level of 0.08, and this bill has it at 0.05. I'm just trying to bring clarity and bring it in line to what the driving limit is at 0.08.
All right, is there any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Seeing none, there is no objection. The amendment is adopted. Back on the bill for a question on the bill, Representative Marino.
Thank you, Representative Fontenot. Did this bill remove the requirement for training?
So I guess that's a two-part question. Your question was, does it remove the requirement for training? And that answer is yes. But this bill puts in place that Louisiana State Police will create a 60-minute free online training to no cost to the individual who chooses to seek that training. And Representative Marino, what I think about when we talk about voluntary training, I think about that 50-year-old lady who's become a victim of domestic violence on a Saturday, and she needs to purchase a firearm to protect herself. She can at least seek some training immediately upon purchase of that firearm.
So you do realize the value of the training, and the in-person training is probably a lot more useful than trying to look at something online. Is that correct?
I think I'd compare that to driving a car. The more you drive a car, the better you become. The more you put a piece of firearm in your hand, the more proficient you would become. But statistics show us across the country, of the 20 states that enacted constitutional carry, that training, people sought more training when constitutional carry was passed in those 20 states.
Right. I like the idea of having the ability to have a concealed carry permit, but I like the idea of having some actual training on use of force and how to actually handle the weapon, load the weapon, unload the weapon, fire the weapon. None of that. It's optional right now.
So those 4 items you quoted, sir, is what we call firearm nomenclature. That's included inside of the state police training. Inside this bill, it dictates that they talk about nomenclature of firearms.
But that's optional.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you. That's my objection. Same objections in committee.
So I have your vote, sir.
You have my vote of no.
All right, for a question on the bill, Representative Landry.
Rep. Fontenot, I think there's been a few surveys of the entire state that show over 80% of Louisiana voters support requiring a permit to carry a handgun. Are you aware of those polls?
Yes, ma'am.
And so doesn't that suggest that most Louisiana voters want people to have a permit?
I think that the people of Louisiana elected each one of us in this body, and we'll soon see what the poll of this body tells us the people want.
So are you suggesting that we know better than the residents of the state of Louisiana?
No, ma'am.
Okay, it sounds like it. In the committee hearing on your bill, I saw some of it, but not all of it. But it's my understanding that either most or all of law enforcement who testified in opposition to the bill. Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Okay, do you recall who testified in favor of it?
No one.
Excuse me?
No law enforcement professionals testified in favor. You said that most or all testified against. That's incorrect. Only 2 testified against of the 4. The Louisiana Sheriff's Office took no position. The Louisiana Fraternal Police took no position. The Louisiana Chiefs of Police opposed, and Louisiana State Police opposed.
Okay, some of this might be referring to written testimony that I'm looking at, not in-person testimony. So it was, I believe, the Police Chiefs Association who said, Louisiana Association of Chiefs of Police who said, we're not opposed to concealed carry, we're opposed to concealed carry without education and without training. Does that change any of our views perhaps on this bill that it doesn't include training? Does that affect... Strike that, I asked too many questions at once. The fact that the chiefs of police are worried about the lack of training, should that affect our view of this bill?
I said this in committee, Representative, that there's a fine balance of our constitutional freedoms or our God-given rights that's protected by our Constitution and the mandates that government should put on. You probably can read on that same press release where I said, I believe that training should be required. But the Constitution tells us that we have that right to keep and possess firearms, and I don't believe that the government should inflict a mandate to exercise our right.
Well, that's something we disagree on because I do believe well-regulated suggests that we can regulate this, just like we regulate speech. The Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul, did he testify that day?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And I believe he said this is an officer safety issue. Do you agree?
I disagree.
Okay. One final question. It's my understanding that since 1996 until the end of last year, the state of Louisiana denied, suspended, or revoked almost 14,000 permits. Don't you think that suggests that public safety will be in jeopardy if we if we pass this law?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, for a question on the bill, Representative Larry Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Fontenot, you were asked whether this bill changes the requirement for training. Would you agree with me that to obtain a concealed carry permit, you are required to have training?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
So this is not changing anything as it pertains to the concealed carry permit, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And as we sit here today, an 18-year-old or 21-year-old up can open carry without any training, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So if we could do that now, and the legislature has allowed us to do it now, and all we have to do is put a jacket on, it becomes concealed. It's the same weapon. It's the same person carrying that weapon without training, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we're really not changing anything other than the fact that we're allowing someone to put a jacket over an open carry weapon.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ari Purse. I'm sorry, Miss Melinda. Thank you.
All right, there are no more questions on the bill. To the floor on the bill, Representative Miguez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise in support of this bill. The U.S. Constitution says that citizens across Louisiana and our great nation have a right to bear arms. More importantly, it's a right for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves and, more importantly, their loved ones. HB 596, along with other similar bills in the process, strengthen our citizens' Second Amendment rights, our law-abiding citizens. I urge you to stand with the overwhelming majority of Louisiana citizens and allow law-abiding citizens to carry a firearm without the need of first giving government permission. Present law allows for open carrying of a firearm without a permit. Why should it be different for concealed carry? Personally, I prefer someone to carry their firearm concealed, especially when they're in an urban setting. This bill brings open carry and concealed carry in line with each other. Again, members, I urge you to support HB 596. Let's join the 20 other states who enjoy this same right. Most recently this year, 3 states have passed similar legislation. Please vote in support of our citizens' Second Amendment rights today. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, Representative Fontenot, for bringing this great bill.
All right. For the floor on the bill, Representative Amy Freeman.
Members, I rise in opposition to this bill, and I'd like to read a short statement from the Superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department, Mr. Sean Ferguson, a personal friend of mine that I've done a lot of work with alongside NOPD. And this is his statement. We strongly oppose any legislation that would create the potential for what could be thousands of untrained individuals bringing weapons to the streets of the city of New Orleans. Add the consumption of alcohol by these armed individuals, and a very dangerous situation could develop, resulting in needless injury and death of our citizens and visitors. New Orleans is facing the same challenges many cities across the country are facing with the increase in violent crime. We have seen an increase in arrests for homicides, shootings, and armed carjackings. Because of the restrictions required by COVID-19, the wheels of justice are moving slower for many of these arrested individuals, putting more arrested individuals back on the street as they await justice. The current laws in place regarding the illegal carrying of concealed weapons have played a major role in reducing incidents of gun violence. Law enforcement officers will also be put at increased risk when encountering an individual they do not know is armed. It is for these reasons that I vehemently oppose this legislation. And I agree with my superintendent of New Orleans Police Department. I vehemently oppose this legislation.
All right. To the floor on the bill, Representative Cormier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here in favor of this bill. Make a couple quick points. I could talk for a long time on this. I'm very passionate. I could go into the philosophy of the situation, Thomas Paine, John Locke, but I'm just going to make it easy. In this country, there is no difference between a law-abiding citizen who is rich or a law-abiding citizen who is poor. Let's keep that in mind. All right. There was a time when only landowners could vote. And we moved along a little bit, and then we came to a point where, all of a sudden, everybody can vote. But only if you could pay the poll tax. Today, and I would argue we never lost this right, it's clear in the Constitution, it doesn't say where I can put a gun, I can keep it anywhere. But today, everyone has the right to carry concealed. But only if you can pay a version of a poll tax. Now, the ways to look at this, you have one side, a group, they think everybody should love everybody. You should, and get along, but that's not the real world. Another side, you have a group who wants to keep the guns out of hands of some people. They're both wrong. They meet in the middle in a place called Elitistville, or Washington. And they come up with the rules for thee, not for me. I don't think anybody here has the right to tell a poor person they have any less liberties than a rich person. This is not Republican and Democrat. This is a socioeconomic situation. As the law is today, you are putting an imposition on a law-abiding citizen, and that's wrong. There is no difference. Just because a rich person can afford, and of course that's a subjective thing, how much one person can afford or not, but any imposition is taking away a liberty from someone who has that. Not just a liberty, but a God-given right to self-preservation. Under natural law as well. Not giving them that right is the same as putting a gun in their face. Because it's been said, if one or a person or a body or a legislature will take away one liberty, as soon as they get complete control over you, they will take away everything. People deserve the right, the same right, no matter what their socioeconomic status. And that's my reasoning why this bill is a good bill. Thank you.
All right, to the floor on the bill, Representative Robbie Carter. And
Mr. Speaker, we've heard pro and con. I call the question.
all right. Do what? You're good. All right. Representative Carter has called a question on the bill. Any objection? Seeing none, question is called. Representative Fontenot, you can close on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I know this requires healthy debate, and I know that my good friend Representative Ted James wanted to be at this well and make a statement. And I said this in committee, and I'm going to say this again. When I first got to this body, I heard what Representative James was saying, but I wasn't listening. I respect immensely, sir, that this could potentially be something in African American communities. I recognize that we must look at police practices if we're going to let people carry firearms. I certainly would not have let or denied my friend an opportunity to speak his mind here. But I wanted to bring that to light because each time I ask him for guidance, he's always honest and he shares that guidance with me. But we're not trying to create a new wheel here, colleagues. 20 states around this union have approved this. Violence hasn't gone up. Police interactions hasn't gone up. Police officers haven't died. Mississippi, Arkansas, and soon to be Texas will be constitutional carry states. We will be the last state standing here. I think my friend Representative Cormier brought this to light. It costs the state of Louisiana State Police $700,000 to run the concealed carry permit section, and they collect nearly $5 million. It's on your fiscal note. We would call that a tax on the honest citizens who are trying to carry a firearm. Honest citizens should not be burdened with things such as background checks. Criminals will do what criminals do. I ask that you support these honest citizens and allow them to carry firearms and protect their freedoms. I ask for your passage.
All right. Representative Fontenot moves final passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk will open the machines. Members, vote your machines. Vote your machines, members. Gudo, yes. Hughes, no. Gary Carter, no. Jordan, no. You through voting, members? Through voting? All right, close them up. 72 yeas, 28 nays, and the bill is finally passed. Representative Fontenot moves to adopt the title, moves to reconsider the vote for which the bill was finally passed. Lay that motion on the table without objection, so ordered.